There is a strange coldness in the room you're sitting in, though no windows are open and no breeze should be there. The stillness carries a weight tonight, as if something invisible is watching you through the mirror's edge, just behind the glass, too close for comfort. You've felt it for days, the tingling in your chest, the way your spirit flinches when a certain name is spoken, even the dreams where your voice is stolen mid-scream. A presence has circled your life like a shadow that never fully blends in, always just a breath out of sync. They've smiled, yes, they've embraced you, praised you, even cried beside you, but their spirit held a darker thread sewn tight beneath the surface. And now that thread has begun to unravel, pulling something foul into the light, and heaven is no longer quiet about what's happening behind your back. God says this moment was never meant to be comfortable. It was designed as a spiritual shockwave to shatter the illusion that's been keeping you bound to betrayal. What you thought was a delay was actually protection, because every time you tried to elevate, that spirit near you tugged at your ankles with a venom-laced whisper. Your name has been in rooms you never entered. Conversations you thought were prayers were really spells of sabotage. There was a plan to spiritually starve you, so subtly that even your own heart would turn against itself. Archangel Michael says the exposure is beginning. He's positioned divine forces around you, and even though the snake slithers quietly, it cannot move unnoticed now. The face will shock you, not because it's unfamiliar, but because it's someone you would have never suspected, someone whose wounds you've tried to heal with your own hands. The spiritual distortion began when you ignored your instincts to keep the peace. You dismissed the tension in your stomach, convinced yourself it was just anxiety, when really it was your gift trying to warn you. And each time you excused their manipulation as a misunderstanding, the enemy took a deeper seat inside your life. There's a reason your sleep has been broken and your joy half felt. They were drawing from your light, dimming your spirit so slowly it felt like fatigue. But the truth is, they were never sent to stay, they were sent to study your weaknesses, learn your rhythm, and break you before you bloomed. Now, the mirror is cracking, not physically, but spiritually. You can't unsee what's coming. Their mask is beginning to slide, and your soul is standing in a hallway where every echo is a memory twisted by lies. God says this was necessary. You loved them too deeply to ever believe what they were capable of, so heaven waited. But now the waiting ends, and the confrontation, silent or loud, is near. They will not confess. They will not cry. They will turn cold, passive, distant. Not because they're confused, but because they know you're awakening to the truth, and the game is almost up. You were not paranoid. You were not too sensitive. You were gifted with sight you tried to bury just to keep love around that wasn't real. Archangel Michael says there's a name written in the mouth of the snake. It hisses softly in your dreams and flinches when you speak power over your life. You'll know the name not by their actions, but by how everything inside you drops when you think of them, the hollow, the grief, the tight chest. That's not trauma. That's a spiritual alert system begging to be heard. Everything's about to shift. The one who pretended to lift you is the one who's been holding the blade behind your back. But they won't strike, because heaven is placing a mirror in their path, and they will be forced to look at what they've become. Do not reach for them. Do not explain yourself. Let the silence speak. Let the divine do the separation. God says their exit will make space for your elevation. You were never meant to carry a serpent in your chest while begging for peace from the heavens. Now that peace is on its way, and it comes with thunder and revelation. The snake is squirming, sensing its time is up. The walls of your life are beginning to whisper. Not in words, but in creaks and shifts, like something old is moving beneath the surface. That something has been hiding in plain sight, buried beneath polite laughter, shared meals, late-night calls that felt like comfort but were actually surveillance in disguise. You were marked for breakthrough long ago, but something kept coiling around the roots of your progress. It didn't bite, not yet, but it tightened every time you stepped closer to peace. And now, that hidden force is starting to panic. Archangel Michael says the floorboards of your spirit are groaning with truth. He's lifting what was buried, what was disguised as love, disguised as support, even disguised as spiritual alignment. But it was always rooted in jealousy, envy that you couldn't see, because you were too busy surviving to question the intentions of those near you. The snake chose to operate from below, waiting, studying, patient and calculating. It mimicked your tone. It mirrored your light. It learned your rhythms and mimicked empathy. But beneath it all, it held an ancient hunger, for your seat, your light, your divine appointment. There was a moment, months ago, when you almost walked away. You almost cut the cord, walked out the door, stopped answering. But guilt held your hand, and you told yourself, maybe I'm overthinking it. That was the exact moment the enemy smiled. Because the snake needed you to doubt your intuition. Needed you to silence the inner sirens that God placed in your soul. Needed you to believe that peace meant avoiding disruption, when in fact your breakthrough required a holy explosion. God says you are not crazy for seeing the spiritual rotting underneath the surface. You are not delusional for sensing an evil presence behind a familiar face. You are not harsh, or cold, or too much. You are finally being shown the blueprints of the trap they built for you. They fed off your delays. Rejoiced when you canceled that appointment. Smiled when your heart felt heavy and you blamed yourself. Because as long as you were turning on yourself, they didn't have to. Archangel Michael says the name is vibrating in the silence. You can't stop thinking about them, not because they're your soul tie, but because the spirit attached to them is screaming as it's being exposed. This is spiritual eviction. This is holy warfare unfolding in your life while the rest of the world sleeps. The betrayal wasn't random. It was generational. Someone in your family line was targeted long ago, and the cycle simply continued, envy in disguise, sabotage wearing a friendly face. But you are the interruption. You are the one whose vision won't go blind, not this time. The snake beneath the floorboards is growing restless because your spirit has started stomping. The more you speak truth, even silently, the more the hidden spirits tremble. The more you reclaim your boundaries, the more the mask on their face begins to burn. They will shift. You'll see it. Small things at first. A strange coldness in their tone. A delayed response. A joke that feels too sharp. You'll ask yourself, have they always been this way? And the answer will haunt you, yes, but you were never meant to notice, until now. God says the room is being cleared. The infestation is over. You can't build a future on poisoned foundation, and heaven refused to let you construct legacy over land mined with lies. There will be tears, but not yours. They will grieve the control they lost. They will mourn the version of you that let it slide, that kept peace by self-abandonment, that allowed them to drain you under the label of loyalty. You were never theirs to own. You were never meant to play small to soothe someone else's demons. And now, with the spiritual poison bubbling up, your transformation is cracking through their illusions. Archangel Michael says the confrontation is spiritual, not verbal. Do not waste your breath on someone whose soul already knows what they've done. Their silence will scream louder than any argument, and their withdrawal will be proof that the truth burned them. You will be vindicated. But not in public. Not on social media. Not in a moment of dramatic closure. Your vindication will be quiet, sacred, and divine, a door that slams behind them as another opens only for you. They will try to come back, not because they love you, but because the energy they fed from is gone. They will search for you in other people, but the light they found in you was never meant to be duplicated. God says they were never meant to stay. They were only allowed in to test the alarm system of your discernment. And now that alarm is sounding, loud and clear. Your breakthrough is rising through the cracks they left behind. They're starting to fumble, notice it. Their voice shakes when they speak to you now, even if they try to mask it with calm tones. The mask that once fit them so well is beginning to melt in their hands, and for the first time, they feel exposed, not by your accusations, but by your silence. The tension is real. The air feels heavy when they enter the room. They pause longer before speaking, watching your eyes too carefully, as if wondering if you already know. That's how guilt works. It assumes exposure, even when you've said nothing. God says you don't have to lift a finger for justice. Their actions are testifying louder than any words you could ever speak. You are stepping into a divine stillness where heaven does the unraveling, where the wicked trip over the very lies they used to bind you. There's a smell to deception. It's not physical, but it lingers in your spirit like smoke in a closed room. You've tried to open the windows, tried to air out the confusion, but now you realize the smoke wasn't drifting in, it was rising from inside the one you kept close. The phone calls feel different. The laughter doesn't reach their eyes. Even when they say the right things, your spirit doesn't relax. And that's not fear, that's discernment finally awakening with full force, no longer dulled by hope. Archangel Michael says your spiritual armor is glowing. That's why they flinch now when you speak truth, even casually. They're no longer responding to your personality, they're reacting to your anointing, which no longer bends to their illusion. They were once comfortable around you because you were dimming your own light just to keep peace. Now, that light is blinding them. They can't fake calm under the weight of heaven's gaze, and heaven is watching. They will begin to isolate themselves, not to protect you, but to regroup. They'll say they're busy. They'll say they're going through something. But what they're really doing is hiding from the unraveling they can feel but can't stop. God says it's not your responsibility to chase after what's being removed. You prayed for clarity. You begged for protection. Now you must honor the process of divine detachment. This is not punishment, it's purification. You've walked through years of emotional distortion. Being told to doubt yourself. Being subtly manipulated into shrinking. Being celebrated one moment, criticized the next. The confusion was not yours, it was engineered to keep you dependent. They fed on your overthinking. Took shelter under your kindness. They knew you would rather hurt yourself than hurt someone else, and they used that as a weapon. But that weapon is losing its power now. Archangel Michael says the spiritual order is changing. Heaven has flipped the hourglass, and the sand is running out for the snake's influence over your life. Every secret spell, every hidden sabotage, every silent betrayal is being pulled into the light. Their body will betray their spirit. Watch for the twitch in their eyes, the tremble in their hands, the cracks in their rehearsed stories. That's not stress. That's exposure. You are not imagining the shift in energy. You are witnessing the divine signature of a spiritual eviction. And with each passing hour, the mask burns deeper into their palms, until all that's left is the bare face of a soul that can't hide anymore. God says their hold on your future has been broken. The delay is snapping. The fog is lifting. And even though it hurts to watch someone you once trusted fall apart, you must remember, they made that choice. You were not cruel. You were not blind. You were loyal to someone who studied how to keep you bound. The exit won't be clean. They may lash out. They may cry. They may accuse you of changing, of being distant, of no longer caring. But you do care, you care enough to not let this spiritual venom destroy the rest of your destiny. This is where you rise. This is where you stop negotiating with spirits that were sent to ruin you. This is where the sword in your hand stops shaking. Archangel Michael says the name is about to be confirmed. Not by them, but by the way the universe begins to clear your path the moment they are out of it. Their absence will bring more peace than their presence ever could. The storm is here. But you are not in danger. You are being delivered. You didn't imagine the nights when your spirit felt restless for no reason. You weren't overreacting when you felt eyes on you even when the room was empty. Something entered your home, not through the front door, but through the emotional cracks they carved in your heart. This wasn't just betrayal. It was spiritual warfare disguised as a close relationship. They didn't just lie with their words, they injected fear into your joy, confusion into your confidence, and silence into your voice. Their energy lingered like smoke after a fire, invisible but choking. God says you were under siege in ways you didn't recognize. The attacks didn't come with violence, they came with shifts in atmosphere. One day you felt strong, the next you couldn't lift your head. One moment your plans flowed, the next they crumbled in your hands. Your space became haunted not by ghosts but by intentions. Objects broke for no reason. Technology glitched. Your sleep fractured into pieces. You chalked it up to stress, but heaven knew, a spiritual infection had slipped into your sanctuary. Archangel Michael says you were protected even in those moments. Your spirit cried out when your mind was too tired. Your guardian angels moved items, blocked messages, delayed meetings, not to frustrate you, but to hold you still while they shielded you from further harm. They had access. That was the problem. You opened your heart so fully they walked in without knocking. You gave the benefit of the doubt when you should have listened to the first warning. But that's not weakness. That's the price of having a soul that loves deeply. They sent darkness into your home through gossip. Through slander whispered in spiritual realms. Through envy they never admitted. Through soul ties disguised as support. They prayed for you publicly but cursed your progress privately. You lit candles to calm your spirit, not knowing the unrest wasn't coming from within you, but from the spiritual fingerprints they left on your life. You blamed yourself for the chaos, when you were only the battlefield, not the cause. There were days your heart raced for no reason. Nights you woke up at 3 a.m., breath shallow, tears unexplained. That was your spirit resisting what was being planted around you. Your body knew you were in danger long before your mind caught up. God says they will answer for what they did. Not just to you, but to the harmony of your household, to the sacred peace of your presence. They infiltrated what was meant to be a refuge. And heaven is now purging every last trace. You were not crazy. You were under spiritual siege. Archangel Michael says the angels have entered your space with drawn swords. Every item, every corner, every echo of their presence is being swept clean by divine fire. The energy in your room will begin to feel different now. Lighter. Safer. Like something invisible finally packed its bags and fled. The snake didn't just aim for your heart, it slithered into your schedule, your friendships, your dreams. It wanted you exhausted enough to give up. It wanted you confused enough to accept less. It wanted you wounded enough to call the cage your home. But you didn't surrender. Your spirit kept screaming even when your voice fell silent. Your soul kept rising even when your confidence collapsed. Your angels wept with you. They covered you in nights of fear. And now they are rejoicing because the curse is being reversed. God says your name is being restored in heaven's court. The damage to your timeline is being repaired. What you lost in confusion, you will regain in clarity. What was drained from your energy, you will regain in joy. What was delayed by darkness, you will receive with acceleration. They will notice it first. They'll notice the calls aren't answered as quickly. The energy they used to drain now repels them. The warmth they abused has turned cold, not in bitterness, but in divine closure. You are no longer a source they can feed on. Your home will feel different. Your breath will return. Music will sound sweeter. Colors will look brighter. That's what spiritual freedom feels like. Archangel Michael says don't try to warn them. Don't try to save them. Don't try to explain your silence. This isn't punishment, it's protection. The snake was not just hurting you, it was destroying your peace from the inside out. And that peace is yours again. They may come back for one last attempt. One more message. One last emotional trap. But by then, the fog will be gone. The spell will be broken. The name will be clear. And your spirit will finally say, without fear, I know what you are.